Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Yesterday was a day I was really looking forward to, okay? The reason I was looking forward to yesterday was because I was really interested to see, or hear and see, whatever, what these guys were going to say on ESPN First Take, given this bombshell trade that went down over the weekend in the middle of the night. Apparently now I'm finding out that trade went down around 1 a.m. in the morning, East Coast time, right? So on the panel that day, or yesterday rather, they had Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, and Brian Windhorst. And to show you how big of a deal it was, this news, ESPN, that normally posts short clips on his YouTube channel of various segments, they were putting up 20-minute clips of these segments, 20+ minute clips, right? And I'm like, that lets you know ESPN also wants to ride this wave. So I click on one of the shows, and they're talking about this trade, the impact of the trade, and all of that. And, you know, Stephen A. Smith is weighing in, Shannon Sharpe is weighing in, all of that. And then they get to the aspect of a trade of this magnitude going down where it involves LeBron James, because he's not in the trade, but it affects him. And he had no idea it was going to happen. That's what Stephen A. Smith is saying. No idea that this was going to happen. And this may have been the first time LeBron has ever been in a situation like this in his career where he wasn't in the know. And then Stephen A. Smith goes on to say, had this been Kobe, they would have never done that to Kobe. And Shannon Sharpe heard that, man. And he just started going at, what about Michael Jordan? And da 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 da. I was like, yo, Stephen A. Smith just hit a nerve. So what we want to do is we want to play this exchange for you guys between Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. And then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
And let's take it, let's bring it home. God rest his soul, if Kobe Bryant was alive, would you have done something like this without letting Kobe Bryant know? I think we all know the answer to that question. Not in a million damn years it wouldn't have happened. He would have known. So if LeBron James truly did not know anything, that does give you cause to pause and make you wonder about what kind of message are they sending? Because Luka is clearly the future. LeBron is not the future. He's 40 years of age. He's in the 22nd season. He's definitely going to play his 23rd season. We know how phenomenal and how great he is and how he's revered, and he should be. But for them to make this move and him not know anything about it, they can say, hey, we want to make sure it didn't get out because the slightest thing could get in the way of it. They can say all of that till the cows come home. In the end, when you have an ideal relationship with a star of that magnitude, he knows something. And they're saying they knew nothing. And if they knew nothing, that does make you look at the Lakers and think about how are they feeling about him right now.
Can I ask you a question, Stephen A.? You would
Yes,
know
sir.
this. Was Jerry Krause running trades by Michael Jordan?
No, but that was different, Shannon. Jerry Krause alienated Michael Jordan from his second year in the league. Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying? They didn't like him. You know, he dealt with him, but Michael Jordan was not fond, and everybody knows that story, Shannon. So that's a different situation.
I think the thing is, Kobe was homegrown. You can never go to a place and they love you like where you love him. LeBron was revered in Miami, but Miami didn't love him like Cleveland because he was theirs original. He goes to L.A., but L.A. is never going to love him like Cleveland loved him because he's original. And he's never going to get the love and the adoration that Kobe got because they saw Kobe come in as a 17-year-old kid and leave as a married grown man with kids. So I'm not surprised by this. And you're right. My grandfather used to say, boy, two people can keep a secret, but one of them needs to be dead. In order for this, a trade of this magnitude, and not a whiff, not a hint, no aroma of this could potentially happen is baffling. I've never seen a trade of this size in any sport that at some point in time, Stephen A., we didn't even get a hint of it. Stephen A., we didn't hear nothing. Anthony Davis had just came out and said, hey, we get another big, we playing well, LeBron is still LeBron, yada, yada, yada. And there are reports that said, hey, we didn't feel he was going to be, he could be a 1A, and so forth and so on. But I just look at it, I think it's just, look, I like what the Lakers did because LeBron he's closer to the end than the beginning. This is what the Lakers do.
So you heard the exchange between Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith hit a nerve. You won't see it in the video, but like in the audio that we play, but in the video itself, you'll see like Shannon Sharpe started to get a little bit irritated by Stephen A. Smith bringing up that point. And then he reached for Michael Jordan. Look, what is my reaction to what he had to say? Let's address the Michael Jordan angle first, because he brought up Michael Jordan and, you know, they're not being. When MJ played in a different era. MJ played in a time where the philosophy was you let management take care of what they do, and we're going to take care of what we do on the court. We don't meddle. You give us the players that you think are the best. We may make suggestions here and there, but we're going to handle whatever situation you give us. Is one of the reasons, you know, you didn't hear any stories of Michael Jordan looking to leave Chicago. Jordan had a totally different mindset, right? So for him to try to compare Jordan to LeBron, it's a totally different thing, because Jordan was drafted to a team that just wasn't any good. And then he stayed with the team and he helped build it into one of the, arguably, the most popular dynasties in sports history. He didn't leave. He didn't go to another team and say, I didn't get enough help. No, he said, management, you do what you do. I hope you guys do a good job. They started drafting good players. They brought in Scottie and all of that. And then, you know, before you know it, they had a championship team on their hands. So it's a totally different thing. Jordan wasn't looking to go team up with nobody or something different like that. So him bringing up Jordan was just absolutely ridiculous. In the case of Kobe, if Kobe were in this type of situation, would have been different. Of course, it would have been different. And Shannon Sharpe alluded to it, because Kobe was he was the Lakers, right? He was the Lakers. I can't envision any situation in which they would not let Kobe know. I mean, for goodness sake, I think one of the things that they wrote on his statue, one of his statues outside, the man that built Staples Center. That's what they wrote. So obviously they're going to let Kobe Bryant know, right? Because Kobe was a lifer. And to be quite honest with you, we didn't hear all of these stories about Kobe, you know, controlling the Lakers. The only real thing we heard about Kobe with the Lakers was when he was like, you know what? He got tired of hearing this Shaq is carrying you. And then I guess he forced the team to make a decision. It's either going to be me or it's going to be Shaquille O'Neal in his 20-year career. That's what I heard, right? But if you look at the LeBron drama that's been surrounding the Lakers in his, 6.5 years that he's been with the Lakers, it's just been one thing after the other, one thing after the other, one thing after the other. So I don't think the Lakers organization feels that sense of loyalty that they would have felt to Kobe Bryant to feel that way to LeBron James. Kobe had too much equity with the team. He had too much equity. So obviously it won't be the same thing. So Stephen A. Smith was essentially bringing up a mute point. But nevertheless, it didn't stop Shannon Sharpe from being triggered by his comments. You know, it didn't stop him. Shannon felt the type of way like, yo, why are you saying this and all that? And I can understand that, man. You know, Shannon is in a very unique place right now because he doesn't know what to think about the Lakers. And if he doesn't know what to think about the Lakers, that means he doesn't know what to think about LeBron's status of winning more championships. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my man, Too Raw for TV, Too Raw for Sports, because he's been talking about this for quite some time now, but especially ever since this news broke of Anthony Davis being traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Luka Doncic. And what he's been talking about is essentially LeBron's time being up in LA, right? And he's been having a lot of fun with it. He's been putting up some hilarious thumbnails and all of that. We've all been reacting to it, so make sure you go check out his channel for that. But he's speaking to something that I think a lot of people are starting to notice. In one fell swoop, the earth shifted beneath LeBron's feet. LeBron went from being the king of the castle to being basically a lame duck king. He's just sitting there waiting to be replaced in one fell swoop. And it happened on so many levels. The first level was him being caught off guard totally by not knowing that the Lakers were getting ready to pull off the move that they were willing to pull off. And they didn't consult him not even once. They didn't get a sense of what he thought, nothing. Because I think the Lakers had reached their breaking point with LeBron after, you know, all of the various acquisitions that were brought to LA and the Russell Westbrook debacle and all of that. They got to the point where like, you know what? I think we've given this guy enough. We even got his son drafted. But if we're going to make a decision about our future and we know that he's not going to be here, why would we consult with him anyway? So the Lakers did that. The second thing that caused the earth to shift beneath his feet was the person they traded him for, that they brought in. They brought in a Luka Doncic who replaces his close friend on the team and a guy that replaces that essentially is going to play LeBron's position on the court. And that signified a major shift. And one of the people that noticed this in media was Brian Windhorst. Yesterday, I was watching a segment on ESPN First Take, and everybody was weighing in. And then Brian Windhorst decided to step forward and bring up a point that I think sent a lot of LeBron fans into tears, caused them to burst into tears, where he essentially said that we are witnessing the end of the LeBron James era with the Los Angeles Lakers. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Brian Windhorst had to say about this yesterday on ESPN, and then I want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Brian had to say here.
In order for you to survive at the Lakers, you got to have a superstar. And I'm not talking about any superstar. I'm talking about generational, global superstar. And that's what they've got.
Midway through LeBron's rookie year in 2004, right after he turned 19 years old, the Cavs sat down with him and said, going forward, we're going to talk to you about all of our deals. From that moment until this trade, 21 years, LeBron was always involved. Even in Miami, he may not have been able to direct what they were doing. He didn't learn stuff the moment it happened. This is a huge moment because it basically signals the end of the LeBron James as the centerpiece era in LA and the beginning of the Luka Doncic era. And now every decision going forward, who they may sign, who they may trade for, how they operate their team is going to be built around number 77, not around number 23. That had to happen. It's not controversial. And in a way, they kind of did LeBron a bit of a favor by not coming to him. And the reason I say that is because they didn't want to put on his plate your friend, your coworker, the guy you won a championship with, your teammate at Clutch Sports. They didn't want to put that on his plate. They took it off of his plate. And so this is something that needed to happen.
Right.
It was going to be difficult, I thought, for the Lakers. Instead, it's a beautiful situation where they can transition to a star. So I have no issue with this. And LeBron's first move, Stephen A., is to say, I'm not going to look for a trade.
So you heard what Brian had to say. What are my thoughts about this? First of all, if Brian Windhorst is noticing it, a lot of LeBron fans are noticing it because he's been the guy that has really chronicled LeBron's career, I believe, dating all the way back to high school. But I want to share some information with you guys about some polls that we put up yesterday. We put up 2 polls on our channel. The first one said, who is the Lakers' number 1 option now? 2 options, LeBron James, Luka Doncic. Out of the 9,000 plus voters, 90% of them said Luka Doncic, 10% said LeBron. I then also said, will LeBron and Luka work? Out of the 7,700 voters, 77% said no, 23% said yes. And we're going to get to this a little bit later in another show that we're producing today. But the first poll says a lot, which is who's the number 1 option, where 90% of the voters are saying it's Luka Doncic. And I think that coincides directly with Brian Windhorst's observations by saying that the era is almost over. The era is almost over because Luka is clearly the number 1 option now and the number 1 option going into the future. LeBron is a great player for his age. He ain't Luka Doncic. Just go look at the numbers that Luka put up last year and go look at where he was able to take his team last year. Did you see the Lakers anywhere in the playoffs like that last year? Of course you did. So of course Luka's going to be the number 1 option. And what adds salt to the wound is that LeBron didn't know this was happening. He had no clue that this was happening. Now, some people have messaged me and said, oh, LeBron knew, LeBron didn't know, LeBron knew, LeBron didn't know. I just think he didn't know. Do I know for a fact? No, but that's just my assumption here. That's the line of thinking I'm going to go with here. So therefore, this does signify the end of the LeBron James era with the Lakers. And then it begs the next question, which we're going to have to address ultimately. What will be LeBron's legacy with the Lakers? What will be his legacy? That's something else we have to ask. Because I think if you ask the Laker faithful, they're not a fan of LeBron. I think LeBron fans are a fan of what LeBron has done for the Lakers, but in terms of his time with the Lakers. But I don't think Laker fans are fond of LeBron James being there. This is just my view. So I could be wrong. Maybe some of them love it, but I think the vast majority of them don't. And I think the vast majority of them are like, okay, bro, thank you for your time. You can leave now, once they heard the news of Luka Doncic coming to the team. Boy, oh boy, this is turning into be some kind of month. February got it kicking off, got it popping off in a way that none of us expected it, especially with this bombshell trade that went down. And a lot of people are reacting to it, right? A lot of people are reacting to it. But one of the people that's now become a new member of the ESPN family is Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was featured yesterday on a segment on Get Up with Mike Greenberg and Michael Wilbon. And they were reacting to this trade that just went down with the Lakers. And if you know anything about Charles Barkley, you know that he's not going to pull any of his punches. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. And there's no exception here. So they're talking about it. They didn't get to the point where they were essentially saying, do you believe that the Luka and LeBron pairing is going to work? Because some people feel like it's going to work, and a lot of people feel like, hey, this thing may not work. And in typical Charles Barkley fashion, he basically said, look, imminent disaster could potentially be on the way, because he said anybody that knows basketball knows that this trade is just not going to work. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what Charles Barkley had to say here, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Charles here.
Brian Windhorst and Mike, and we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 years. He clearly is not watching us on television talking about, man, this guy's a great player. If he ever got in shape, he could be even better. Same thing with Zion. But because they have so much power, nobody on the team in New Orleans can say to Zion, man, you as good as you are, you're talented, but you could be a superstar if you got in shape. Same thing with Luka. He's always hurt. Nobody, Mike just said it, and he can't guard anybody. And Nico, hey, listen, Nico risked his job. Number one, I gave him his flowers earlier because he stood there and took y'all questions. He didn't want to say it. I don't know if this guy's going to get in shape. I can't risk giving him $350 million. I got to give that guy his credit. He made a decision. Now, it's one of those decisions where you're either going to lose your job or keep your job. But like Monica said and Perk said, the Dallas Mavericks, the Lakers, that's going to be fascinating because I don't think Luke and LeBron can play together. That's my personal opinion, because neither one of them can play without the ball. That's going to be very fascinating. So we're looking at them down the line. I think they brought LeBron in to be a mentor for Luka. Like Mike just said it, LeBron's body is incredible. He's one of the greatest players ever, but from condition, I think they're hoping that rubs off on Luka. But I don't think they're going to have great success together. But the Dallas Mavericks have already stepped to the table. They're the second best team in the West. And listen, I love OKC, but the Dallas Mavericks are the second best team. When we wake up today, the Dallas Mavericks are the second best team in the West, plain and simple.
So you heard what Charles Barkley had to say. He feels that this trade is not going to work for the Lakers. One of my thoughts on what he's saying. First of all, I think one of the reasons he's saying that is because Luka and LeBron essentially play the same position. Number two, they have essentially the same playing style, where they need the ball in their hand. They have to initiate the offense. The offense goes through them. Both of these guys are not really good at playing off the ball. They're not really good at it, although they can do it occasionally, where Luka played with Kyrie. They got some success. And then LeBron played with Kyrie. But the fundamental difference here is this. LeBron playing with Kyrie, they play different positions. And they have different playing styles. In the case of Luka, him and LeBron play the same position, and they have very similar playing styles, which means that someone is going to need to take a back seat here. Someone is going to need to take a back seat here, and I think the someone needs to be LeBron. Because Luka, it's the younger, better player. Luka Doncic is 15 years LeBron's junior. 15 years. He's going to be the star for now and going into the future. So LeBron, it would behoove him to take the back seat. The question is, will he? Will he? What will he feel about his numbers being affected? Is he going to try to do what he did with Anthony Davis? That's something we have to wait and see. And how are Laker fans going to be? How are they going to respond to that if they see that LeBron is trying to ball hog over Luka Doncic? Number one, is Luka Doncic going to demand that he gets the ball, although he said LeBron is his favorite player of all time? That's going to be an interesting dynamic. Now, there's another wrinkle in all of this that a lot of people are bringing up, which I didn't think of, which is the Lakers want LeBron around to kind of rub off on Luka some of his habits, especially when it comes to dieting and nutrition and his approach in terms of being a professional to the game of basketball. That's an angle that I didn't see before, and I think it makes a lot of sense. There could be some truth to that. There could be some truth to that, and if that's the case, then that's pretty smart on the Lakers' part, right? Because when it comes to nutrition, taking your body, I think that's a great thing. The question is, LeBron willing to take on a mentorship role with Luka Doncic? This is something we have to see, right? This is something we have to see. But from a basketball standpoint, if we're looking at this trade, I think the Dallas Mavericks won this trade for the present moment, because I think Anthony Davis is going to fit seamlessly into what the Dallas Mavericks are looking to do. They have a great offensive team. They have a great defensive team. And now hopefully we see Anthony Davis really blossom as an offensive player, although we've seen that before in the past, but this time playing alongside Kyrie Irving. In the case of the Lakers, they will still need to make some more moves. They're going to still need to have to improve on the defensive side of the floor. But in terms of the LeBron and Luka pairing, a lot of people think it's not going to work. And I'm probably of the same mindset that it's not going to work. Obviously, we can all be wrong because we're not fortune tellers here.